Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Shut Up and Enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us back again. As always, I am your identity crisis-based podcast host. This week I am the Iron Doom, joined by different mask, same task. What a last 72 hours in the fandom, nerddom universe. We have been blessed with so much goodness coming our way.
Oh, yes.
This episode, we're going to give you a full recap of everything that has happened so far this weekend at Hall H in San Diego Comic-Con. Um, I'm just going to jump right into it. The big announcement that has everyone just geeking. We have Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Victor Von Doom for Avengers 5 Doomsday.
Yes, sir.
What an announcement. I can see some potential concerns that people might have, and I think they're justified.
Hmm.
A just constant cop out, just bring back like same dog, same tricks. Exactly as your name. Different mask, same task. Like surely there had to have been other actors who could also do this. As you sent me earlier, Cillian Murphy might have been a fantastic casting job. Why do you think they went with Robert Downey Jr.?
I think they did just because it's been done before in the comics, so we've seen it before. I also think it's going to be a way to tie in the multiverse. There's been a lot of controversy with that multiverse because some people think that it hasn't been cohesive to the MCU. We haven't seen it much. You look like you want to say something, but hold on a sec. So I'm thinking that's the reason why they did it. I mean, it could be there's no way that this and of course we don't know that he's going to play Victor Von Doom. We just know that he's going to play a version of Doom.
Well, the Russo brothers did say in the announcement they were introducing Victor Von Doom. They did say the name Victor Von Doom, so I have confidence based on that RDJ will be playing Victor Von Doom and not an evil Tony Stark.
Well, very good. So then there's no problem at all. So what I think what we got to remember a lot of times is, and we saw this a lot just recently with Deadpool, whereas Deadpool is the stand-in for the audience, right?
Mhm.
So again, on the outside looking in, we know that this is the same actor, but in the world that is on the screen, it's just a dude. Lots of dudes look alike.
Yes.
Lots of dudes look like other dudes. You're the dude playing the dude looking like a dude.
I saw that exact meme and I started chuckling. I started, yes. So of course it wouldn't be a podcast with us without an immediate segue completely off topic. So here we go. You said that the multiverse was kind of in a cluster right now.
I said some people say that.
Some people, yes, some people say that.
Yep.
And I think you know exactly where I'm going with this one. It's like, what about the multiverse hasn't been done? Based on, like, with the MCU, what hasn't been done well? Like, what are those complaints?
What complaints have people had? Or are you asking what complaints I have? Because I don't have any.
What people had?
I'm a
Because
weirdo.
with my favorite, absolutely biased opinions from Screen Crush, it's when you look at the content that is actually based in the multiverse between Doctor Strange and Loki season two. Loki did the multiverse well.
He absolutely did.
So even though we were in the multiverse saga and you had what Miss Marvel and the Marvels, those weren't multiverse movies, really.
Right. They were grounded in the 616.
So when you say you don't like the multiverse saga, are you actually only looking at the multiverse saga stuff, or are you looking at phase five as the multiverse saga?
I think that is where
Critical
the
thinking skills fall
yeah,
short in the
yeah,
American education system.
very short. That's the issue because it was called the multiverse saga, because it's called phase 4, phase 5. People tend to look at it with blinders on and in that lens. So because they didn't quite care for some of the content that was in phase 4 and phase 5, some of the Disney Plus series didn't quite work for them. Some of the movies didn't quite work for them. They lumped that all into what? It's the multiverse saga. That's a problem. Saw one thing today, or heard one thing today, talking about how Kang they're so glad that Kang is now gone and they're not going to do anything with Kang because he wasn't a good villain and it didn't quite work. And I was taken aback because at what point was he not a good villain and it didn't work? If you're looking at what happened at the end of Quantumania, where we have on good authority, not officially told, but we have on good authority that the ending was changed. He was supposed to win at the end of that movie. And then that would, of course, brought about what would have led into the Kang Dynasty and all that stuff, which is now has been scrapped. So they refilmed, or I'm sorry, not refilmed. Like, well, I guess it is refilmed the end of that movie to change it to where he lost and things were different, which a lot of people then attributed to a bad film, didn't quite like Quantumania, but that bad film didn't make him a bad villain. If we go back and look at what happened in the 2 seasons of Loki and also through the film of Quantumania,
Mhm.
what are we what's the problem here?
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Kang because he is a very interesting villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and even in the comic books too, where it almost seems like they need to do something like prune the Council of Kangs through the TVA. If there's like a one-off line of something of or a scrap of paper.
I think we got that at the end of Loki season 2, remember? Remember they said there was what is it, an incident in an adjacent realm of the 616, but it was handled. Mobius said that at the end of
Of
Loki season.
Kangs, or was that referring to specifically the incident in the quantum realm when they went and rescued Janet?
Could have been either. That's the beauty of it. Because they added that line in, because he said that line, it could have been either, which makes it work.
Well, it's just a cop out, and Marvel's just copping out, and they blew up the whole Kang Dynasty, and it sucks now.
Eh.
But anyway,
Yes.
to no one's surprise, we digress.
as
Um,
as we do.
but hey, it's fun. We never said we were professionals. We're just two nerds having fun.
Yeah.
So Avengers Doomsday with RDJ directed Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to be directed by the Russo brothers, who also did Infinity War, Endgame, Winter Soldier, like the top tier
Yes.
MCU movies that
Yes.
everyone loves. And if you don't, you are entitled to your wrong opinion. Um, we also have Stephen McFeely, who is going to be assisting in the writing of these, who also helped to write The First Avenger, as well as The Winter Soldier and a
Hmm.
whole bunch of other top box office hits for the MCU. So already coming off the coattails of Deadpool, we have incredible announcements that are blowing everything out of the water, and it's almost a very solid, soft reboot to the MCU, which
Hmm.
I don't think anyone is really disagreeing with. Um, I think everyone's so far on board. I'll be interested to see what comes this week as the adrenaline wears off.
Yeah.
And
And we're going to get tons of. We've already seen, I mean, I guess the announcement hasn't even been 24 hours yet. The movies don't come out for
it's been 21 hours essentially
21 hours. The movies don't even come out
for another 2 years.
for another 24 months. And there's already been a lot of complaints about Robert Downey Jr. coming back. But whatever, it's done. It's a done deal. So why even have that be a part of your
All I'm
mentality
going
to
to
complain
do
about
is start making a cookbook on the best way to use egg on your face in cooking and eating crow.
it?
Because
I
when
like it.
these movies come out and blow everyone away,
Hmm.
that's that's where we are. Y'all bitched about oh my God, Heath Ledger.
Yep.
You bitched about Batfleck. You bitched about Robert Pattinson.
Hmm.
You questioned Paul Rudd. You questioned Anthony Mackie. You questioned Mark Ruffalo. You questioned Samuel L. Jackson. You questioned and raged on everything. And I'm
The
about to,
costumes. Every costume, every behind the scenes leaked photo of a costume gets shitted on from day one, and then it shows up on the
these are the
screen. It's
same
like, oh,
people who complained when Hugh Jackman at 5'11", 6'1", whatever it was cast in 2000 to play Logan because he was supposed to be 5'4".
right, right.
This is the same group of people, I think, who are rushing to the clickbait, who will never admit that they were wrong.
No.
And it's going to be Hayden Christensen all over again.
Yeah.
It's going to be Ashley Eckstein all over again. You hate it when it first comes out, but let it age, and like a fine wine, it's only going to get better with time.
Hmm.
And I can't wait for 15 years down the road when, oh, they did Leia so well and how she aged up and the dynamic between Leia and Han. And it was really cool how they had C-3PO be like, oh, you probably don't recognize me because of my arm. Like, I'm counting down the days and in the most entitled elitist way in my fancy wine glass, sipping my wine of go fuck yourselves. Because I know it's going to
It's
happen.
gonna happen. And then they're gonna act like they never made those videos. It'll be those videos will be way down. So you'd have to scroll too long to see them. So nobody's gonna do that. And they're gonna act like they never happened. I never
Not
said they
naming any names, but looking at you, JC, and your panel, not panel.
happened. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. This was a waste of time. Oh, wait, what? They announced what? Oh, this is great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah.
Oh man.
So moving on to the next one, we got the big Avengers one. We got Doomsday, we got Secret Wars, Russo brothers, Robert Downey Jr., Steve McFeely. We have logos which look awesome.
Yes.
I'm so excited for Doctor Doom because
Mhm.
he is such an incredible, manipulative, magic scientist. What if Doctor Strange and Iron Man turned dark is who he is, matched up against Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four, which is now a perfect segue into Fantastic Four First Steps.
Oh, yes, it has a name now.
It does. It is not just unnamed Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
Big news with that one. We got a poster look at it.
Hmm.
We got our first look at Galactus.
Uh,
For those for those viewers who might not know, care to fill us in on who and what Galactus is?
he is the devourer of worlds. How, in a nutshell,
Pretty much.
how how I think they're gonna use Galactus in the MCU will be, we have the incursions that are going on. My thought is that they're gonna use Galactus as a way to get rid of universes or worlds so that the incursions don't happen.
So a dimension-based pruner.
Yeah, why not? Again, we're just throwing things out at this point.
Interesting theory.
But heaven forbids he can't lose in this first Fantastic Four film because then he wouldn't be, not a good villain.
God forbid. Yeah.
That
Um, is Galactus isn't a celestial, is he?
is a great question. I don't think so. I'm gonna go to the Google. I think he's as big as a celestial for sure.
Formerly a mortal man, he is a cosmic entity who consumes planets to sustain his life force and
Hmm.
functional on the upkeep of the primary Marvel continuity. Interesting. Um,
So perhaps devour the world that the Fantastic Four now inhabit because they're definitely not in the 616. They're in a different, they're on a different Earth in the
mhm.
50s, futuristic new
60s,
noir. Hmm?
60s.
60s, 60s, 50s, 60s. The other thing is the 50s. We'll get to that shortly. Um, so I could see Galactus destroying their world, which would bring them into the main 616 timeline.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with that. Now, whether Galactus then gets sucked into the 616 timeline as well and creates the world-ending threat,
Hmm.
then have Doom versus the Avengers, Doom versus X-Men, X-Men versus Avengers, all of that stuff.
Right.
Um, we also in that poster got a hint at the Silver Surfer, who, if I'm not mistaken, they are casting as a female
Yes.
in this movie, which, dear God, you people have got to calm the shit down. Going back to the Acolyte, where you don't know canon, you know the one version.
Right.
It's canon that there was a female Silver Surfer.
Hmm.
So calm your shit. This isn't just Disney woking everything. So excited to see where they go with that. We got I forget who the whole cast is. We got Eddie Munson, Mandalorian, Cousin, and I cannot remember the Invisible Woman. Who
What has she been in before? Mission Impossible.
Vanessa Kirby?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw that Mission Impossible.
Been in a couple of them.
Uh,
along with some other films.
yeah,
It's
so
a stacked cast. The cast is phenomenal. All great actors. And
absolutely, absolutely, and that is set for next year, right? 2020.
yes, yes. So there's three films coming out in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And also we know that Ironheart is also going to be out in 2025. So, heaven forbid Marvel have too much coming out in one year. That's a problem. Oh my God, too much content. They're wearing themselves thin.
I will push back on that and say the last 3 years, as much as we've loved the content, it all in all has not been as stellar as phases 1 to 4. CGI, writing, plot, character development, it hasn't been as solid as what we've seen in the past. And I do think, in part, that is because they tried to rush things to Disney Plus, keep up with the content, get people to
Hmm.
buy into.
Hmm.
They have a streaming platform and want people to subscribe to it.
You mean like decisions made by people sitting in offices and high-rise buildings or on their $30 million mega yachts caused problems for the workers? Is that possible what you mean?
I would never. I would never. But I do think we're coming out of that though, because
Yes.
if you look at the timeline of how Disney as a corporation has been run, Bob Iger retired not too long after Phase 4 ended. New guy comes in, eliminates the annual Disney annual park passes, which everyone was pissed about, understandably so. Eliminated a bunch of other perks for the real world Disney consumerism perspective, which sucked. Started pumping out content and content and content and content that has been quantity over quality.
Yep.
Bob Iger comes back now, brings back the annual passes, brings back certain things within the parks around the world. And then we also start to see a slowdown of content. Ironheart was supposed to come out this fall. It's been delayed. We
Hmm.
have Agatha coming out now, which I think was supposed to come out a little earlier, but now it's coming out later. We have a bunch of movies that were delayed. We have Star Wars stuff that has been delayed. I don't think it's been delayed from problems. I think it's been delayed to allow the professionals, the editors, the writers, the actors, the showrunners to actually do their job. That was
Let
what,
everyone take a breath. Yes.
and that was, I mean, that was Steve Jobs' whole thing when Apple bought Pixar of you're going to do one thing a year, but you are going to absolutely blow it out of the park. You are going to nail it. And they did for a
Hmm.
long time. Pixar did one movie a year, and it made them an absolute ungodly amount of money. You have all of this talent around you. Let the talent do what they can and do what they have
Let them
been
cook.
to do. Exactly right. As Mike always says, we're going to let them cook.
Let them cook.
So I think we're getting back to that, and I think we're getting that reprieve. And it's again, it's a transition period. It's going to be rocky, but when we come out the other side of it, we get things like Deadpool. We get things like RDJ coming back. We're getting Secret Wars, Doomsday. We're going to get a quality Fantastic Four movie.
Hmm.
We're bringing in heavy hitters like Joseph Quinn, like Pedro Pascal. We're getting key villains like Doctor Doom and Galactus. I'm I'm optimistic and not cautiously optimistic. I am optimistic about the future.
Same.
Yeah.
Different mass, same task.
You know it. You know it. From Fantastic Four, we got a peek at Red Guardian's costume.
Oh yes, how about that?
I don't know if he was allowed to do that or if David Harbour just got slapped with a $50,000 fine from Kevin Feige, but
Nope, nope. I think they everybody was all in on that. Yeah, that's one of those things that you just, you know, it was all a part of it,
it's
all a
innocuous.
part of the
Didn't
announcement.
spoil anything.
Right, right, and it wouldn't be the first time that someone's showed up at
Yeah.
SDCC in full costume. So
I'm so excited, and I keep thinking back and geeking to the casting of Julia Louise-Dreyfus as Valentina. Like,
yes,
she is the way that she's portrayed Valentina is she's smart,
uh-huh.
she's conniving, and she just dances and flirts with and skirts that line of just being completely and utterly, absolutely fucking unhinged in everything that we've seen her in and every line.
Uh-huh.
So that more of Valentina is what I am looking forward to most, even above like getting Florence Pugh back and David Harbour and um not Captain America, not Kurt Russell, but the other one. Um, again, clearly I don't give a shit about any of this if I can't remember actors' names. But I am so excited to see so much more of Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina, and that's going to that role I think is absolutely going to make the next phase of Captain America movies,
Hmm.
Thunderbolts. Like, I think she's going to be the glue that brings everything together and binds that. And she's going to be the anchor being, dare I say.
The fury for them,
Yes.
essentially, that brings it all together.
Yeah,
I too am
Fury's the
looking
anchor
forward.
being for the Avengers. She's going to be the anchor being for the next, uh, I'd say the next 36 months of Marvel stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Dare I say this next phase?
And I'm here for it. I'm here for
Yes. Yeah, interesting this movie because they still have the asterisk at the end of the title, which hasn't been explained yet, but I don't care. Explain it, don't explain it, it doesn't make a difference. It's
I'm
just
gonna buy a
it's
ticket and go see it. You can
yeah,
call it the Thunderbolts and be done with it.
right. We know that, or I guess it was told that the name of this group and movie doesn't have anything to do with Thunderbolt Ross. So that was a part of the announcement that they made yesterday as well.
So how do we feel about that? Because isn't that a massive like? Isn't the reason they're called the Thunderbolts because Thunderbolt Ross put them together, or am I
That may have something to do with the asterisk.
where like Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame? Asterisk.
Yeah, so that may have something to do with it. I again, that's one of those things that it doesn't matter. The comics are what they are. The the lore, dare I say, is what it is. This is its own thing. It's the cinematic universe. It is what we see in theaters and on screen, and I'm totally fine with it. Doesn't really matter. I'm just interested to see how this team is going to come together and what they're going to do because it seems like everyone in the team has a different random skill set. So how's it all going to work together, you know?
But they've all already been recruited.
They would have had to be before this film. Yeah.
Because
We only
Valentina,
saw we've only seen US agent and Yelena essentially recruited or working for
did we not see
Val.
uh Red Guardian?
We didn't see him getting recruited or anything.
Okay. That might be Act One then.
Or, or or maybe it happened somewhere else. And then it's just, a part of what happens in this film.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
as Taskmaster is a part of it, Ghost is a part of it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about her.
Yeah. Winter Soldier, Bucky is
Yeah.
a part of it. So, it's eclectic as hell that come together to be a team.
There's going to be a lot of shit going on in this movie, and it's gonna be a wild ride. I
Yep.
um, is it fair to say that the Thunderbolts are essentially Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad?
Some
The
people are gonna say that.
the anti-heroes of the universe who are put on missions by government adjacent people.
Mhm. Some people are gonna make that comparison.
But is it
And
is it
and it's
necessarily
fine.
a wrong comparison or egregiously looking at it objectively, is that egregiously wrong?
No, it's human nature to make comparisons. That's how we get into that's how debates start. And then you'll get into, well, this is like this, well, this is better than this, and so forth. That's just what people do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. I mean, both Suicide Squad movies were compared to one another, and which one was better and which one wasn't. So
All I'm going to say is the 1994 Fantastic Four movie was the best movie ever to come out.
you said it.
Go ahead and cancel me. I don't give a shit anymore.
Who's gonna argue with you?
Who's seen that movie to cancel me for? That's what I want to know. Um, Next up, after Thunderbolts, we have Brave New World announcements. We have
Mhm.
confirmation of Giancarlo Esposito's character,
Yes.
the King of the Serpent Society, Seth Volker, aka Sidewinder.
Sidewinder. Yeah.
Completely not what any of the theories have put out there. And oh, is that as rare and tender and juicy as the perfect prime rib?
I love it so much.
I cannot tell you how happy I was to see that announcement and confirmation and immediately know that every single theory was wrong to the nth degree.
Mm-hmm.
That just goes to show theorizing is fun, but do not theorize and then lock in and allow that to hinder what actually happens and your opinions of it.
Yes. And unfortunately, that happens way too much. And in some ways it becomes a shame, because you hold on to it so much. Like when the trailer came out, and all we heard for, I guess that was 2 weeks ago, all we heard for the last 2 weeks is that he's playing GW Bridge. It's got to be GW Bridge.
Yep.
And so let's tell you who GW Bridge is. So they run down and they give a whole backstory on who this guy is. And Giancarlo came out and said, "Hey, listen, no one has guessed correctly who my character is." And then the announcement comes out last night, and now everybody's falling the fuck out.
Yeah.
Wait, but I thought Seth Rollins was in the Serpent Society. I thought he was going to do it. I thought the Serpent Society was cut out of the film. What are we doing? Just relax. That goes back to what I always say. And I'm going to say this on every podcast. We know too much. We know too much. Just too fucking much. Relax. Relax and let it happen. Simple.
Shut up and enjoy.
Ooh. You said the thing. He said the thing.
Said it. really got to get that clip as like a background, just cut, insert.
Yes, every time.
Yeah,
Um,
I completely agree. We know too much, but it is just, and not that I like the enjoyment I get from people being wrong,
oh, I love it.
but when the people who are wrong are the ones who are essentially forbidding themselves from enjoying any of the content that comes out because their theories are wrong. To quote Thanos, this does put a smile on my face.
That's the funny part because it does not have to be that way. You don't have to get mad because they didn't give you what you thought you deserved. Ain't that some shit?
You deserve nothing.
Oh man. That is just incredibly wild. But
Yeah.
so another thing that we learned is that Sam will not have any of the super soldier serum.
Mm.
So that is interesting to know if he's gonna then have to go up against Red Hulk. Not a spoiler, that's in the trailer. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes about,
Hmm.
what happens there. Um, Also, they mentioned the A word, adamantium, is on Tiamat Island.
And we spoke about that a
Yes, we
little bit
did.
ago, and I clearing the air before any of our three listeners at us, we did, and by we, I mean I borrowed that from a theory I saw, I think on Screen Crush,
Hmm.
that the metal and everything, like adamantium is 616's precious metal that the Japanese might have, which is why there were so many actors in the trailer who looked like they were of a Japanese delegation. And that's what they're fighting over. And that's what brings it in, which is going to tie in mutants and Wolverine and Lady Deathstroke and X-23, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so yes,
Give it all. Give it to us.
yes, absolutely. I'm glad they gave us that
Yeah,
because while it might drive the plot, I don't think that's necessarily going to be plot central.
I agree. I think that is just, again, breadcrumbs for future stuff.
I think that's going to be as related to the plot as Vibranium was to Black Panther 2.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, where it was the push for it, which then provoked uh Namor's people to start attacking. Like, I think it's going to be the catalyst to poke people and
Yeah,
agitate them. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be centered around adamantium. Yeah.
yeah. Looking forward to it. We are 7 months away from that. So very good.
Yes. Yes. Next up, we have Transformers.
Yes, Transformers 1. They dropped some clips and also they debuted a new trailer which goes into a little bit of the backstory of Optimus and Megatron.
Hmm.
Um, so Transformers is by far one of my all-time favorite cartoons as a kid growing up. So anything Transformers related, I'm going to watch. So definitely looking forward to this one. This one actually comes out in about 2 months in September 30th. Um, my son got a chance to see the trailer and he's all in and ready to rock and go to see that. So I am too.
Perf. That's the animated one.
Yes, animated.
Okay, with was it Chris? Is Chris Pratt? Who's voicing?
Probably. He voices everything now.
Um, who am I thinking of? Sorry, Chris Hemsworth.
The other Chris. One
Yeah,
of the other Chris's.
Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson,
So all the cool kids.
Steve Buscemi, Lawrence Fishburne. Wow, that's a
As a cast, baby.
Keegan-Michael Key and John Hamm. Okay. Did we need another Transformers?
Probably not, but we got it. So we're all in for it.
Okay.
It's been the story's been told so many different ways. This one actually looks like it's a new take on it, a new, different telling. Um,
God, it's almost like they're trying to compete with Spider-Man reboots.
Almost, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I've found Transformers to be entertaining, but I've never really been a diehard Transformers fan.
Gotcha.
I got nothing, like I almost just nothing them. Um, they're fine if someone says, "Hey, you want to come over and order pizza and watch Transformers?" Sure, I'm in. But I probably wouldn't say, "Hey, want to come over and watch Transformers?" I will most likely say, "Hey, want to come over and watch Logan,
Hmm.
watch Avengers, watch Star Wars." Like it's Transformers isn't on that necessarily on that list for me, but that's not to say I haven't enjoyed the ones I've seen.
Yeah, I gotta admit, they are not generally rewatchable films. One and done, maybe two, if you feel like it.
I haven't even seen the
Um,
most recent one with the dinosaurs.
Beast Wars.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's on
Or even I don't think I've even seen Age of
it's on
Extinction
streaming.
that came out 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to be a little bit much. And again, I think Bumblebee was a what we say soft reboot for that
Hmm.
whole series. Um, but this is animated, so it's a different thing. And the fact that it's animated and going to movie theaters as opposed to just being streaming, it, it's worth checking out, I think.
I might hit a matinee.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else to add to Transformers before we move on?
Nah, nah, that's it.
Short and sweet. Love it.
Yep.
Next up, we are back in my wheelhouse with The Rings of Power. I will say
Somebody
right
hasn't
now,
seen it yet.
I have a bone to pick with one of my friends in LA. Um, he and his content creation production company was invited to record content at the Rings of Power trailer release party.
Hmm.
And on said Instagram story, he said, filming at the Lord of the Rings season 2 party.
Damn it, man. You had one job.
He got to go to San Diego Comic-Con. He got to go to a trailer release party, and he was paid to work it.
Mm.
And he called it the Lord of the Rings season 2 party. Bud, I love you, but please defer to your cohort in business, and you know exactly who I'm talking about because he knew. Mhm. Anyway, season two of Rings of Power. The
Yes,
trailer
sir.
dropped and it looks like an absolute clusterfuck of a Middle Earth. And by clusterfuck, I mean Middle Earth is in a clusterfuck, but the season is going to be absolutely awesome. It releases this August in pretty much a month from now,
Yeah.
end of August. And I loved season one. I thought it was a really cool take on Middle Earth. We're going back to like the second age of man, or the second age of Middle Earth. And there's a lot to explore there with the mythology and everything that's going on. We're going to see Sauron in his humanoid, more elven Maiar form versus big, tall guy, tall, black, spiky crown or flaming eye with seasonal allergies um, on top of his tower. So yes, I am here for it. Put it in my face. My face is here. Rings of Power.
Just right in there.
Thank you.
Just get all up in there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my goal for the month of August is to get you to watch
So,
the rings again so we can review it.
all right, all right.
There's so
Done.
much with it.
Put that on my list. I got a pen. I'm writing it down.
Uh-huh,
Watch this. Damn it.
Yeah, I know Rings of Power got a lot of hate because Kate Blanchett this tall, Rings of Power Galadriel this tall, uh, actor for Elrond looking like this, Hugo Weaving looking like this. And shut up, please. Fine, you want to go with canonical stuff? It's 1500 years before the Fellowship. You look that good. To quote Yoda, at 900 years of age, look this good, you will not. Like, is that really why you're hating this, or are you just not letting yourself enjoy something?
That's typically what it is.
Probably.
Just relax, enjoy.
Shut up and enjoy. Yeah. I thought the first one was really cool. It set up the premise for creating the rings, the seven to the dwarfs, three to the elves, nine to the kings of men, and then Sauron creating his one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. Like we're seeing a direct lean into that, and they're not missing the beat. They're not kind of dancing around this and Easter egging it. They're really jumping headfirst into the deep end. The one concern I have is with this constant level of swimming in the deep end that they have, how many seasons do they really expect to get out of this show? Because once you get to a certain point in the mythology, you can't go anymore because you're at that point at the start of the Fellowship of the Ring.
hmm
Or
Perhaps that is what the plan is.
not even the start of the Fellowship in canon terms, but the march on Mount Doom
hmm
between the elves, men, and orcs. Like, so if that's the plan and they get up there and stop, and the last scene is Isildur defeating Sauron, great. Call it a day. I just don't want them to do that, and then we get into some existentially dragged out series of what the fuck are we talking about?
You basically don't want them to Game of Thrones the thing.
I was
And
actually thinking that exact. I don't want them to season eight. Cut it at season five and be done with it. Yes. Yes, you
okay.
are correct.
Oh man.
Yep. Case in point, wrapped up. There's a nice, neat little bow. Moving on to the boys.
Yes. Yes, they're going to have a sequel series, which is actually a prequel series called Vought Rising. This one is the one that takes place in the 50s,
Hmm.
and it's going to follow Soldier Boy and Stormfront. Are you a fan of the boys?
I have seen the first season and a half.
Okay, okay.
I stopped watching after the gratuitous
Well, everything about the show is gratuitous.
guy who can shrink down and then pleasure center and accidental growth.
Yeah.
And I get it. I know why. I understand it. But you kind of lost me there a little bit.
Yeah, that was a bit rough.
What I
I
will
actually think that was season 3.
what I will probably do is once all of this finishes after season five is
Go
go
back and
back and
watch.
just binge it
Yeah,
and call it a day to say that I can watch, to say that I've seen it.
that is just jumping back really quick. That is exactly what I did with Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
I actually watched House of the Dragon season 1 first, and then since I knew it was based on Game of Thrones and I had never watched it,
Also not caught up with that either.
that's okay. Um, but we jumped back into Game of Thrones and absolutely murdered all 8 seasons of it. So that was interesting. So while and here we go with our ADD just looking all over the place now. While a lot of people who had to wait all that time for season 8 to come and then were disappointed, it didn't really hit me the same way because I was just rocking and rolling right through it. So
Mhm.
that's just a note there.
You didn't have to wait a week between each episode or
Right, right. It was we were just rocking and rolling through it. So but anyway, back to Vought Rising. I think this is going to end up being the third sequel series from The Boys. We had Gen V, which had its season 1 last year. There's going to be The Boys Mexico, I believe it's called, which is coming at some point. Gen V season 2 is coming, and now we have this uh, sequel slash prequel series, which has been announced. I am not sure that it's needed or wanted. You know what that word that we say a lot. Does anyone want this? I'm sure that as soon as it premieres and comes out, I'll be watching it. But at the same time, it's not something that I thought would be happening. And I'm not 100% sure of why it's happening, but someone's making that decision.
have they, with the content they've been putting out that you've seen, has it been solid content? Has it been well received by the fans?
The Boys generally has been well received. This past season, a lot has been divisive. You know, that famous word has been divisive. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people did not like it. I am right there in the middle. I enjoy it. So I guess there's a like, there's a dislike, and an enjoy. I enjoy it because I shut up and do that. Um, but again, I see how Gen V fit in and how the characters from Gen V fit into the boys' world now. Um, but going back and following other characters for a series, when we've had flashbacks in the regular series, I'm not sure how that is going to work. Um, but I ain't gonna get upset about it. If it happens, if it comes on, I'll be right there watching, checking it out and see what happens. But that's all I got on that.
And that's valid. That's valid. The reason I ask that is looking at like sometimes production companies will push out so much content just because they think it's a quick money maker, regardless of if it's good or not.
Hmm.
But if I could see the conversation spinning, yeah, well, that's not the case with The Boys because this is actually good.
The Boys is good. It is. And we know that it's ending again. So it's ending with season 5. So the question could be is this going to be the replacement for that? Is this going to be the next evolution? But again, already having the other series, The Boys Mexico, announced already, you know, are we going to get into the point where it's just putting out product just for the sake of putting out product at that point? There's no way of telling because I'm sure many people had the same thought when Gen V was announced,
Mhm.
and then it came on and it was a damn good show. So this could possibly too be a damn good show. You just run into those issues with prequels where it's only so far you can go. It's kind of like you're saying with with Rings of Power, right? It's at some point, you gotta at some point it's gonna get to where you can't go any further.
Yeah, yeah. I got nothing to add because I'm so far behind on the universe.
So we'll just leave it at that.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see how it
What
goes.
happens. Now, flipping over to DC,
Yes, sir.
we got a teaser for the Creative Commander,
Creature. Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos.
Yes.
We got Amanda Waller. We got Rick Flag. We got Weasel again.
Mhm.
Um, my favorite line from that was the one that's based in a technicality of, I thought we shut down humans being used as government agents. Yeah, but these ain't humans. What a goddamn Amanda Waller loophole is that? If there's ever been an Amanda Waller loophole, two Amanda Waller loopholes, it was this Amanda Waller loophole.
Yes, sir.
Well, one of them's a weasel, one of them's a Frankenstein monster, the
Hmm.
other's an actual monster, one of
Hmm.
them an amphibian, like one's just a straight up zombie, and one of them is like a nuclear fission reaction in humanoid form. Like,
Hmm.
okay, animated DC series coming. If it's anything like the Harley Quinn show, I'm on board. Sign me up. That was a great show that they had. So if it's the same kind of raunchiness, like pushing the envelope of what animation can do, I'm here. I'm on board. Give it to me.
Okay. I agree. DC has always done well with their animated product. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this goes. And we'll
Yeah.
definitely be podcasting on it. So stay tuned for that, everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and keeping in the DC realm, we got Penguin.
Oh man, that looks so good.
It's dark, it's gritty.
Yes. Yes.
I
Definitely piggybacks on the Batman
Mhm.
with being grounded and real and just dirty, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Um, so again, that's something else that we're looking forward to. And that I think that comes out soon as well. September, yeah, September 19th. It's an HBO original. Um, HBO versus Max. Still don't know what the difference is, but I'll probably be watching it on Max
Yep.
no matter what happens. Um, but yeah, Looking forward to that. About a month and a half that'll be out. Comes out right around the same time as Agatha, so we'll be busy that week.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a great continuity off of the Batman movie.
hmm
Matt Reeves is heavily involved in this, which is going to help with that continuity. And if the Batman 2 actually happens, I know there have been some issues with developing a script, and maybe it gets tied in with James Gunn's Superman universe. I don't know. DC is still very turbulent at this point. I'm not digging my heels into any or digging my claws too deeply into any live action stuff they put out. It's gonna need to be at least 2 years before I can say if I'm on board or not, I think.
hmm
Um, because as we know, one good movie does not a universe make.
Well, that's true. That's true. And it's always gonna be a little bit funky because they've already said that they're gonna have projects that are not quite in the DCU. They're gonna be Elseworld projects, which I believe the Penguin and the Batman are. So,
I almost don't see
and Joker, of course.
I don't necessarily see how they can keep doing that because it's repeating the same thing they've been doing for years. They're just now putting an Elseworlds label on it, but they're not setting up Elseworlds. They're they're saying Elseworlds to us, the viewers, but they're not putting Elseworlds that we know of yet within the universe.
That's a
It's
valid
like
point.
saying Marvel's doing a multiverse thing without having any character at all in any way, shape, or form be involved with the multiverse, be it Loki, be it Doctor Strange, anything.
Guess
So
it.
I'm very hesitant to think that it's going to work out. And I'm basing that on the last 10 years of live action DC stuff. Not, I'm not convinced yet.
Gotcha.
I will go in and I will give it a solid chance. I
Yeah,
will watch it, I will evaluate it for what it is, and I will give it a fair chance, but I'm not hopeful.
understood. I mean, that makes sense. We've been burned before.
We'll probably be burned again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but just looking at it on a surface level, just from that trailer for the Penguin looks good.
So independently, the Penguin looks fucking
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that just about does it for our recap of San Diego Comic-Con. Just the highlight
Yes.
announcements.
There's
There are a lot
obviously
of other things going on,
comics
toys.
stuff. For more and updated information, follow our Instagram account
Oh yeah.
at Shut Up and Enjoy Podcast. And I'm doing some like revamping there. I got some story categories going, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you have it.
that's all I got. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for listening and tuning in to our San Diego Comic-Con news reporting roundup for two nerds that weren't invited to San Diego Comic-Con next year.
Next time.
Next
They'll
year,
take care of us. Yeah.
if someone gives us tickets, we'll cover the flights.
I like it.
Looking at you, Kevin Feige. Looking at you. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If we missed anything big, let us know. If you have thoughts on anything, what do you guys think of all the stuff coming out, all the announcements that were made? Are you excited? Are you nervous? where are we falling? Let us know in the comments below. Send us a message on Instagram. All that good stuff.
Yes, sir.
But until next time, adios.
Good night, everyone.